week I woke up to a major announcement in the HR tech world, and we haven't seen as many transactions, I would say, in the last year, but this one is massive and it involves our partners. So last week, SmartRecruiters and SAP have entered into an agreement to acquire SmartRecruiters. So big news across the industry. There was a lot of analyst comments. There was a lot of folks wondering what this means. And for anyone that's used SAP SuccessFactor, I think there's a lot of clients that are probably really happy with what's going on. But we should bring like one of the catalysts of this deal.
Yeah, there's someone we know, isn't there?
Yeah,
From
we know someone that
yeah.
should come in and help us with the headlines. Let's bring in Allyn Bailey. Good
Allyn.
morning.
Good morning,
Morning.
Drew.
Have
I
you
feel like
slept?
a
Have you?
mazel tov is due
Yes.
to you.
Thank you, Danielle. Have I slept? No, Serge. I haven't slept. There was like a moment between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. on Friday where I passed out for like a couple hours, and then that was it. We just keep rolling. Let's go.
Running on fumes. I love it.
What is the feeling at Smart Recruiters internally right now? This is a big deal. SAP is a giant in our industry, and obviously getting acquired, like I'm sure there's anxiety, but I'm sure overall people are pretty happy. But what's your gut feeling of how people are feeling internally at Smart Recruiters?
Overall, we're super excited. I think to a person, I think the entire organization is excited. Listen, we made no qualms about talking about this from really the beginning of the year going forward, that we saw the opportunity out there for Smart Recruiters to really connect and collaborate with a really great partner and pull this over the line. So everybody internally knew that was the mission and the frame, right? One of the things we've got going for us is we are a very transparent organization. We brought everybody together in Madrid in February. We had a very robust conversation about what our strategy was, what our intent was, what we needed to do, how we needed to operate, what was important to us. And I think that helped. So as this news came through, but listen, the timing was incredibly interesting for us. So for those of you who have been trying to reach out to all of your Smartians and have a conversation and talk about what's going on and get their opinion, et cetera, this dropped on the Friday morning of the day before our annual summer Smartian shutdown. So everybody at Smart Recruiters, including Rebecca, everybody is on their summer vacation this week. We rolled this sucker out, had a really big push for about 48 hours internally with a lot of open town halls and a lot of dialogue and conversation and a lot of kind of really digesting this. And then everybody went off on a fabulous summer break. And so I think that's actually kind of cool, right? Everybody kind of said, we got it, we heard it. They're absorbing it. They're getting to go and be with their friends and their family, and they're all going to come back on Monday, and we're going to make this thing kind of trail through.
Wow, that it makes it not only more mysterious externally, but I also think that it leaves people with a feeling like, hey, I'm part of that, and I get to walk away and like go on my vacation and come back to a new, fresh, experience.
100%, 100%. And the message is really clear. Listen, this is a really strategic alignment. We can talk a lot more about that as we go forward and kind of what that means. But transparently, for us as a company, it means we get to stay exactly who we are. Our energy, our people, our roadmap, our tech, nothing changes. In fact, listen, if anybody's been through an acquisition before, let's be very clear. This is SAP is the 27th largest company in the world. This does not happen overnight. We're very close. We're very connected, but it definitely we know as a team for the next 18 to 24 months, we are completely us, completely operating as we always have, just being smarter about how we collaborate. And then as we go forward, we will continue to be us, which I think is a big deal. Whole team stays intact, whole roadmap stays intact. We just keep moving forward.
I personally love it because I've always known Smart Recruiters definitely through the people, but also the brand. I feel like the brand is all about transparency and DEI and making hiring better and faster for everyone. And I feel like this acquisition is really a sign of these bigger legacy tech companies realizing that they need to evolve or risk losing relevance, right? With this,
Yeah.
especially with the next generation of users and talent leaders. So I look at it as a really positive direction. And I also knew, I felt like I knew something was going on. Also, when Sarah White joined the SAP team in the innovation category, I was like, okay, she's going to change things up. She's definitely going to bring some
Right.
new energy.
Right, right. I mean, it was really clear as Sarah moved over and started working with Dan Beck that there was going to be some sort of SAP story going forward. And listen, like I said, it was really clear as Rebecca and team really started to nail it in and to start talking about and building out our roadmap. It was clear we were planning something. So the fact that we were able to kind of find that right synergy, good timing, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've heard so many. I've heard a lot of people making predictions about other companies, like what's going to be
Mhm.
the next big kind of acquisition. So it's awesome that you're leading the way with this. But I also think it puts a lot of pressure on other systems because you guys have been leading with AI as well and leading with AI throughout the recruitment process. And it puts a lot of pressure on the competition. So it's like now's the time, right? Now's the time to see what happens.
Well, you know me, Joel. We don't we don't go off the gas, right? I
That's
mean,
right.
if those people can't keep up, I'm so sorry. We have places to go and things to do and an entire world of work to change. We don't have time for everybody to kind of be mulling around in the background figuring out what they're going to be building and how they're going to get out the door. We're running. And we're going to keep running. And yeah, so the pressure's on. I'm not going to listen. Gauntlet's down. Pressure's on. We're going. Bring it. Bring everything you got. We still have the right path.
I feel like that's definitely the way that you have to be, especially right now as things are changing so quickly.
Mhm.
That's what I personally I always loved about what you bring to the show too is this, what are we looking forward to? What do we need to know? What do we need to be conscious of as we move forward and as things change so fast? So I think it makes total sense. I think it's a really beautiful match made in heaven. And I'm excited to see what comes of this.
Me too.
Hmm.
I think it'll be awesome.
What can you share about how this unfolded? Like a behind the scenes of, all right, who reached out to who? Like, what were the steps? Like, is there anything you can share there?
I would love to say, Serge, that I am so in the know that I know all of those little inner working pieces. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I did not know about this until I flew on an airplane to Krakow a few weeks ago. So this has been the team that's been working this has done a really good job of keeping this under the radar, even internally, which is good. They're supposed to, right? As I mentioned, like that NDA is locked solid. We're not going anywhere with it. Here's what I would say: there were a lot of, and I've seen it. The background data, obviously, as soon as I found out about it, the first thing I had to do is go find out everything that went on and what we need to know, so I can start prepping and how we're going to talk about this. The number and hours of collaborative sessions that happened between not just kind of the movers and shakers and the deal makers. That stuff happened, right? But there was a
Yeah.
lot of conversation amongst product and engineering and trying to understand how do you migrate a platform and what does this look like and what does this look like in the new world. I think that's a really important part of the conversation that happened. This is not the acquisition world of even 5 years ago. The technology rails are very different. The way in which you integrate is very different. Really understanding the market was a lot of the conversation that happened. Yeah, there were a lot of, I can tell you now, I'll give you my personal story now that I
Please.
reflect on it and kind of go, oh, now I know what happened. So if anybody remembers, on June 10th, we did our huge product launch, right? And one of the big questions I got after the product launch was, Sharon is fabulous. We were surprised Rebecca wasn't on it. And transparently, up until the moment before we started to record, I was surprised, Rebecca wasn't on. I mean, we wrote scripts. We did that really, really quickly. We reframed. Well, the reason was there were backroom conversations happening, and she had to be on actual phone calls that she got called away to go and have and to navigate and do. So, you know, there are a lot of little moments like that that I can look back at now and go, oh, now I know that's why that was happening. That makes a lot more sense. People aren't just crazy. Like there's real stuff happening there. So there was a lot of back and forth. Yeah, it was good. There were good conversations. And listen, I think transparently the best conversations were the ones between Rebecca and Dan Beck. They are forming and built a really tight collaboration. A lot of conversation about what Rebecca intended for the company, where she wants to take it, how she leads, what she expects from her organization, and really how she expects to land in the SAP ecosystem and within kind of Dan's SuccessFactors world, without losing who we are, and maybe building a little of energy into their larger organization. That's my move.
Yeah, that would be my question for you is how do you think smart recruiters will integrate with existing customers? That sounds like a really corporate question, but I am curious because SAP is, this legacy company that
Mhm.
many people have had for many, many years. And now here comes smart recruiters who they might not have heard of. I mean, hopefully they have, because you guys are big. But I am curious, like, what do you think Smart Recruiters is bringing to this new customer?
Right. So I think there are two customer bases, right, that we need to have a conversation. Actually, there are three. So let's talk about the two that are actually living on platforms today. There are the current Smart Recruiters customers. For them, nothing changes. It just gets bigger, better, faster. And if they're SAP customers and Smart Recruiter customers at the same time, this is like nirvana state for them. They are already the proof cases of how this works and what this looks like. If they are a Smart Recruiters customer sitting on no HCM or another HCM, nothing changes. Literally nothing changes. Why? Because we're not living in the same world of integrations and technology frameworks that we used to live in. Agentic changes the game, guys. You can integrate and connect to systems in a whole new way. So the need to have to kind of drop and move and shift isn't necessarily there, right? There are advantages to being on both, and that'll only accelerate. Those people who are sitting on SAP today, this should be there. If you're sitting on SAP SuccessFactors today, if you're not dancing in the streets about this merger, then you have not been paying attention. You need to come, hang out, come see us. We're going to be at HR Tech. We're going to be at Unleash World. We're going to be at RecFest. We're going to be at every Gartner around the world. You need to come, check it out, understand the platform, and see what it's going to do for you, and talk to customers who are already on SAP and on Smart Recruiters at the same time and see how it's working for them, because it is exceptionally well. So for those customers, nothing changes immediately. Nothing changes right now, but the world gets better for them relatively soon. And I think they're going to see that.
A lot of people don't realize that Smart Recruiters was founded in the early 2000s, which seems so long ago. Jerome, the original founder, is still around, I believe, on the
Mhm.
board. How did he react to this? Because, like, it's his baby being sold.
I think he's more like his baby just graduated from college.
Fair enough.
Right? I think he's excited. I know he's excited. I don't. You can check out. He's talked about it. He's out there on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. He's been sharing what he's saying. Listen, he is super excited. You want to know what the best part of all of this has been? When I learned this information staying in Krakow. So I feel like I've been here forever. I haven't. I've been with the Smart Recruiters team for going on 4 years. Right? That seems like a long time, but it's not incredibly long. We have people who have been here from its inception in 2010, right? Kind of in those spaces. After the news was shared with our executive leadership team, I went out to dinner with a group of people who have been here for a variety of periods of time, and listening to their stories about the first office above the garage in a back alley in San Francisco, and the fact that you had to fight the dog to get up the front steps. I was talking to Bill Borman. He was talking about the first time he came in and there was a brothel downstairs. I mean, listen, Jerome built this company as a scrappy company. We, from the very beginning, have been a company, and the DNA is in all the people who are with us, right? We built a company very much on, okay, this is where we're at. Let's make it work. We got something to do. And it was folding chairs and folding chairs and weird tables and empty spaces. Even today, for those of you who are in New York, I love, this is one of my favorite stories about even how we operate today. Listen, we have offices all around the world. Some of them are bigger than others and more people, but we're mostly a remote first company. As we started, the exec team really started to formulate and get connected. Most of them are on the East Coast. We opened up an office in the Flatiron, right? So the first time I got to go to that office was late last year when we just opened it. But we'd been there for a while, right? So super excited. Like, cool, I'm going to go to the office in New York. I'm going to go check it out. We didn't buy new furniture. Right. I mean, we're still on what conference table they left in that office room, and we're slowly kind of bringing the people, but because that's not where we invest our time. We invest it in bringing the people together, having the conversation. We've got a space, we've got that dialogue going on, but we're not, we're not big and glossy in those ways. And I think it shows in how we build. That was a long answer, but I'm excited.
Scrappy is great.
Yeah, people make me really excited. I personally am really excited to be able to represent them in this team of people. There's 430 some people across the company. Many of them who have, over 50% of them who have 10 years that go at past 7-8 years. These people have worked their butts off to get here. And it's fun to be part of that conversation with them now and see what they've done.
Super fun.
It's a celebration. How about, I really appreciate you joining the headlines to give us some really cool insights, but how about we jump into your segment and let's just dive into even deeper.
Let's do it.
So as you know, I live and breathe the HR tech space, and I can tell you there's been a lot of speculation. There's been a lot of talk. And the main question that I've been getting is, why have they not disclosed any terms? And I think it's partly out of curiosity. We want to see what the marketplace is. But what's your take there?
Nobody discloses terms. What have these people never done anything with? Probably not. Here's what you need to know. This is my answer to everybody on this one. I'll start off here. SmartRecruiters and SAP, right, is a global company on multiple global stock exchanges, right? In fact, we had to launch this thing in a very particular timing so that the signatures happened after a board meeting and right before the Frankfurt stock market opened, because you have to disclose very specific things. And then there are other things that you either can't or shouldn't disclose because you're talking about a company that is traded on multiple stock spaces, right? So there's never going to be a world in which this sort of a company is going to give you, here's the exact deals. Let me give you the dollar amount, and here's where here's the bank account routing number that's happening to. That's not going to happen, right? Here's what I can say to everybody.
Please.
I can say this very firmly. SmartRecruiters and the team at SmartRecruiters is really pleased about what we're getting ready to embark on. And it is not a marriage of convenience. This is not we had to take this offer. There wasn't anything else. There were options on both sides. And the right deal was struck that balanced everything we needed. The right result for that team who's been sitting there waiting for that to happen for them. Right. There are people, this is their entire world has been around kind of what's going to be this look like when we exit in this space. Right. The right deal for our customers in order for them to be able to get what they were promised they were going to get and more. And the right deal for SAP. And I hit all the marks.
I love that. I personally, so this is a personal opinion here. For a long time, I knew something would happen with SmartRecruiters, and I strongly believe that eventually it would go to IPO. Obviously, the IPO market, especially for HR tech, but pretty much everything now, is not in a good position. So I was curious, like seeing what's going on with you. You've had some major changes overall as far as strategy and how you're going to the marketplace with Winston. I thought you're positioning yourself to go to IPO. You might not have this insight, but I'm just curious. Was that ever on the table going to IPO?
Well, yeah, I mean, at some point it was on the table.
Yeah.
I think, listen, in the early Jerome built the company intending it to go to IPO. There are people who were
Yeah.
sitting in the company who came assuming they were going to go to IPO at some point. When we met with the entire company in February, and Rebecca and Tom, our CFO, sat down and we as a team walked through with the entire company where the variables were, right? What the market was doing, what the options were, how we kind of went down this piece. We made a collective decision to thread the needle,
Yeah.
um, and that was to find the perfect match with the perfect valuation, with the perfect moment, with the perfect roadmap. And so we did it. We also made a critical decision that looked at it and said, "This is not the market to go." I mean, go ahead and go, guys. But that doesn't allow us to accelerate because at the root of us, we are a mission-based company,
Yeah.
right? And so an exit is an exit. I don't see this as an exit. I see this as an acceleration. And I think that was a choice. 430 some people sat around and said, yeah, we don't want to stop. We want to go and go bigger.
Why do you think SAP looked at smart recruiters and looking at you? I did not realize that SAP was the 27th biggest company in the world. That's crazy. But
Right?
looking at smart recruiters, looking at the different branding, you have a different go to market in a lot of ways. Like, what attracted SAP to smart recruiters? Obviously, you're not in their seat, but I'm curious if you've got any insights on that.
Well, we're cool.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
are.
um, well, there's a couple of things. Right. Okay. So, one, we need to look at this in the larger picture past just HR tech, right?
Yeah.
Let's understand what's happening in the larger enterprise technology space, and look at it from that lens. I would now listen. I wasn't in the decision making framework, but here's how I'm going to tell you I would think about it if I were them, and I feel like this is very much in the vibe. Okay. Um, there are a few companies, global companies, who are proactively trying to redefine what enterprise tech looks like in the agentic world, right? I think it is Microsoft. We are all clear on that. Listen,
Yeah.
if you haven't heard it, they're doing some agentic stuff, right? I think that ServiceNow has been very vocal from their seat of what they're trying to do in that space. And what you may not understand or have seen, SAP has been very much in that space as well. Smart Recruiters is a very smart option for them because we built a recruiting AI company. We have an agentic framework. And remember, the piece I've been trying to kind of slowly embed into everybody's consciousness is we were uniquely positioned to do so. Because to build true agentic solutions, to build a true recruiting AI infrastructure, you need three things. And we were the only ones positioned to have that. First, we had the composable and adjustable and highly configurable operating system. You have to have that because even once you put the interaction layer on top, which is Winston for us to go in and extract and take actions, et cetera, if it can't work, right, because it doesn't have actual unique actions it can take in a very configurable global infrastructure, it won't work for you. So we were able to do it. We were able to do it fast. We were able to show two things. It did not hurt. Listen, it did not hurt when Gartner came out and put us in the top corner and said, from the beginning, best vision, best ability to execute. And SAP is a company that wants to move fast in this agentic world, and we're there. So they need us. That's where that partnership happens. And for us, listen, they're deep, not just in their HR tech space, in SAP's larger world. The work they are doing to advance AI and agentic solutions in the enterprise space, once we start tapping into that because we get to start playing together, my God, is recruiting going to change forever, right? It's the moment.
Yeah, I love that perspective because I'm curious if this is going to become a trend. Looking at larger companies, looking at very innovative companies in their particular space, looking at acquiring what they're doing. And obviously, this is the case here. But do you see this as kind of opening the gates? And we're going to see a bunch of other big players looking at acquisitions very similar to this. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's out of your realm, but like, what's your opinion on it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting fall. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff. Listen, we all know there are rumors out there. There are some conversations already happening. Let's see what falls over. Let's see what comes through in the line. Everybody's going to have a different strategy as they approach this. And I think we're going to see a variety of different combinations of things. This is going to be the world of consolidation that we start to see.
Mm.
We're going to see companies who are doing what SAP is doing and saying, how can I move faster? How can I rethink? How can I, go with a market innovator and use that as my frame? You're going to see other companies who are saying, how do I just stabilize my core? And what is the thing I'm missing that allows me to just kind of meet the minimum that I can make big profit off of, and let me move that direction. We're going to see that, and then I think we're going to see some PE consolidations as well, where we start to see PE firms starting to pull in some of these point solutions and building consolidated stacks. And I think we're going to start seeing that as soon as September. I think HR tech's going to be like the wild, wild west, folks. It's going to be fun.
Oh, I agree. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. So anytime you do a transaction like this, we talked a little bit about this, but I think it's really important to dig in deeper is what your customers should expect. So you gave a framework, but I'm just curious what that strategy looks like as far as what is client communication, how deep do you go, how do you get your sales reps, your customer service agents to make sure that they're delivering the right message. And because there's always a little bit of anxiety if I'm using SmartRecruiters, I'm like, I'm not part of the HR tech community, I'm not sure how this is going to
Sure.
affect me. Like, what is the communication to those customers to make sure they're feeling okay, this is really good for us?
Um, wow, that's a big question, and I'll answer this way. There's a reason I haven't slept for 3 weeks. It's
Yeah.
building out those because there's a lot of people that we need to talk to, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
different perspectives that we've needed to address. So one of the things I'm actually really proud of with this is from the moment that press release launched, within 10 minutes, every single customer of SmartRecruiters had an email with a clarification, a notification, and an explanation of what to expect next in their inbox. And every single one of those customers that is at kind of our when we tier customers that's seen at that enterprise level, had a meeting, a phone call, and a conversation. So we're in there. We're having that dialogue. We did it really early on. And by the way, we did it. The same thing happened with every single customer who's sitting in our pipeline of prospects and has been in
Oh, yeah.
negotiation and conversation with us, because listen, if you and I have been in this space, right? When you are trying to bring a tech solution over the line inside a company, no matter how big the company is, you are often staking your career on those choices and decisions. So we knew really early on that is important. We get to them right away to explain to them what this means in their world, for their deal, in their frame, so that they feel comfortable talking to their teams, right? So that we've done that across the board. So that I would say lots of communication. We are not closing that door. There's been a lot of dialogue. But one of the things that is challenging about this sort of communication right off the bat is we know what we know, right? Everybody wants a sense of certainty that we can tell you exactly what it's going to look like in 12 months and 18 months and 24 months. Well, nobody can do that. What we can tell you is what the agreements are, what the synergies are, and why SAP wanted us in the first place, and what it would behoove them to continue to accelerate and to collaborate with us on, and they're doing so. And we have every intention to keep that forward. In store, here's what every customer needs to know, and every prospect who's looking at us needs to know. Nothing changes, business as usual. Same team. Literally, they bought our team as much as our tech. That was a key part of this conversation. So, same team, same tech right now, right? It's only going to get better. When I say same tech, it's only going to get better. Same roadmap. Our roadmap was also what they bought, and they're not diverting from it, and they're sticking to it. And we are going to operate as an independent standalone company for the foreseeable future. And when I say foreseeable future, that's the best we can all say, right? But at least for the next years, if not further. Listen, Rebecca is still at the helm. She will stay at the helm. And if anybody has met her, talked to her, or watched her, you do not need to worry that she's not going to hold her own sitting in a conference room if there's a debate that comes up about roadmap, strategy, or product. The vision stays the same. If you are not on an SAP product today, you do not need to worry. We have an alignment and agreement that we will remain composable. We will allow us to work across platform, agnostic of solution. That's part of what makes us amazing. And everybody says, how can that possibly be? Because people, the tech is different than it was years ago. The biggest scenarios that I hear are two. Oh my God, this is just like when Oracle bought Taleo. The world is going to come to an end. That, okay, one, if we think about that in terms of when that happened, that was like thinking about things from the Ice Age, right? I mean, like the world has changed so dramatically. But two, you have to understand how tech integrates today. AI changes the game. You used to have full code bases that merged, entire infrastructures that aligned in order for systems to be able to operate seamlessly together. AI changes that story, right? AI allows you to work across multiple platforms, multiple infrastructures simultaneously if you construct those interactions between the AI and the systems well. And they bought us because we do that. We were already doing it. Now we'll just do it at scale.
Can you do me a favor? So I've been a past SAP SuccessFactor and SmartRecruiter client. And what I loved about SmartRecruiter, and it's still there, is the UI and the UX. So the user experience is really, really cool. I'm not bashing SAP, but SuccessFactor kind of feels like word art meets DOS. I haven't used it in a couple of years, so that might have changed. It's not a slight at them, but can you bring your UX UI into SuccessFactor? Can you promise me that?
I can't promise you anything. It's not my job. No, here's what I can do. Yeah, they know they bought us for our UX as well. I don't see how we don't influence that and how that doesn't happen. I love that you're talking about the UX. Shefali Netka, for those of you who were lucky enough, and if you haven't seen, go back and watch it, watched our launch video from June 10th. Shefali Netka was highly featured in that. She is the brains and has been for almost a decade now behind that user experience and the work that goes on there. That UX team, I'm an experienced designer, you know that is hard. So like, I love how deep they go with that. They are brilliant. They are coming along. And yeah, obviously, the intent here is that we influence, and I think we will. We're not quiet people over at SmartRecruiter. Like I said, if anybody's thinking that we're going to shrink over into the wall now and just be eaten up by the big machine, you have not met any of us.
I really don't expect that. So if we're looking at a year from now, so we're episode 110 and you're still on the show, and I ask you the question, have you been successful? Like, what is success going to look like a year from now in this post-acquisition world? And you guys have been working together for a year. Like, what does it mean to you? What does success look like?
Well, transparently, if we're successful a year from now, all of the legal requirements have been met, and all the fabulous companies like the U.S. and every other, all the antitrust things have all said, this sounds fabulous, and we are operating together, right? And listen, that's out of all of our hands. I'm comfortable. This is not like this is the first time SAP or anybody has done this. There's enough lawyers working on this stuff. I think they're going to figure this out. I'm not worried about that.
What's the time frame on that, though? Like, that's a good point. So it needs approval, antitrust. Like, what do you know there?
It can go really short, and a minimum 30 days, right? Okay. So we'll use US as the marker. Here's what oh my God, somebody's going to get me on this because I probably don't know the exact verbiage and language of this, but I'm going to give it to you the way I understand it and has been explained to me. Okay. So the filings happen. It happens in multiple places. SAP is a global company. It's in global spaces. Every place this is a material purchase, the filings have to happen with those individual countries. There are not actually that many that this is material for. The US is one of them. What then happens is countries like the US, I know what happens in the US, have 30 days to respond to that filing with questions. If they don't respond to that filing with questions, good to go. Here we go. If they ask a question, we respond to it and the clock starts over again for another 30 days. That's what I know. Do I anticipate? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what the questions might or might not be. But I know they've prepped really hard. I know there have been a countless number of people who do this all day for a living, sitting in boardrooms trying to figure out what all the various different questions can be and trying to respond to those ahead of time. But we also all know the world that we live in which governments are operating. So we'll see.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I was so excited when I got the midnight email because I was checking my emails at midnight, particularly, and seeing that acquisition kind of like shook me out of bed for a minute. So I know that you've put in a lot of work. I know your team has put in a lot of work, and I know SAP's team has put in a lot of work. And I think overall, the sentiment in the industry, from what I can see, is everyone's extremely excited about it. So kudos to you guys. Kudos to you. And we're so happy to be a partner with you on the HR Morning Show and getting these insights, really the behind the scenes and your strategy. This has been very enlightening for our audience. So I appreciate it. Allyn, what are you doing in the next little while? So you're going to do HR Tech, you're going to do RecFest. Like, are you guys going anywhere else?
Okay, we're going to be everywhere. So first off, if you're going to be anywhere near Las Vegas during HR Tech, you need to hit me up. It's going to be off the hook. You know, I throw a good. I can already tell you.
You do throw a good party.
Okay, we already got going on, and we have some things to celebrate. So I think we'll be doing that. We'll be at RecFest in Nashville. We'll be at Unleash World in Paris. In between there, we actually are going to be, for those of you who are on the kind of CHRO seat space listening in to this, we're going to be at Gartner in London, Gartner in Sydney, and Gartner in Orlando. Those are actually really interesting conversations for us because it's an audience that we don't always talk to. We started doing that last year where it's a much deeper conversation. In all of those spaces, you are going to get to touch, feel, ask questions, actually build your own scenarios on how the solution will work for you, hands-on inside those conversations. I'm actually super excited about that. It's a very interesting frame that we're taking for this. No sit and watch a demo action in our space. You get to play with it. First off, what I'm going to do personally, for those of you who know my lovely friend Tracy, we just locked this down late last night. Again, this is our summer vacation at SmartRecruiters. The noise has been good. I think I'm going to be able to take a little pause here. I'll have my phone on me, but I'm going to get on an airplane on Thursday and hang out with my friend Tracy in LA. And on Friday, we're going to go get some Mickey waffles and hang out in Disneyland for the day. Do some roller coasters and chill and see Mickey Mouse. And then I'm going to come back home and get going because we have stuff to do.
Well, you deserve it. And also, after all of this is done, take a longer vacation in November, December. Take a year off, just
why not? Yeah.
I really appreciate this. Thank you for sharing all this fabulous news, and thank you for being a partner to Purple Acorn.
Thanks, Serge.